What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Expensive Hobby.
What's up?
For this video, we are going to go over the top 10 or so disappointing figures of this year so far. We've actually had a pretty good year for action figures, so it was actually kind of hard to dig out 10 figures that really weren't that good. Now, the top 5 of this one, those figures really pissed me off, and you'll see why when we get to them. The other ones are kind of like honorable mentions. They were ones that just kind of got under my skin for the most part, but it's really the top 5 that I really want you to pay attention to and look out for whenever it comes to your wallet. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started with the top 5 or 6 figures that just slightly irritated me. All right, coming in at kind of the first honorable mentions of this list, and it's the oldest of all the figures on this list right now. This one technically came out in like late December, like the last week of December of 2024 is when this hit my area, and it is the Marvel Legends Captain America Brave New World Red Hulk. This figure, it really irritated me. The head sculpts do not look like Harrison Ford. They don't really look like anybody. They don't even look cartoon because they try to, where Marvel or Hasbro, I should say, tries to pull off that hyper realism look. So I hate the head sculpts. No new accessories, no new articulation other than I think the double jointed elbows. The paint apps are really whack on this, and the pants, there's no fraying in them. I've never seen a Hulk in non-frayed clothes, and one of my feet, at least on my figure, doesn't really work that well. So this figure just kind of gets under my skin a little bit, but it's still kind of cool because it is a Hulk. Next up is the Marvel Legends Agent Venom Flash Thompson figure from that Spider-Man retro card wave that we got or whatever. This figure, again, it's not a trashy figure, but it definitely irritated the hell out of me, at least at the time when I bought it. Doesn't have very good articulation, not that Hasbro really cares too much about that apparently, but there's no ab crunch, no waist twist, nothing, just a diaphragm break on it. There's not very much paint on it, not that Venom figures usually get a lot of paint, and this hyper realistic head right here looks like Jaime Lannister from freaking Game of Thrones. And somebody tell me, is Flash Thompson supposed to look like Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones or whatever? But for some reason, this figure rubbed me the wrong way, and I just was not pleased with it. Granted, this figure gets a hell of a lot of accessories. If you can see those over there for a $25 offering, that's pretty sweet as far as accessories go. But the non-functioning, basically complete midsection, that really kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and that's why he's even mentioned on this list. All right, next up on the list is the Marvel Legends Ultimate Iron Man. This figure really let me down once I started really getting into the nitty-gritty with it. Visually and aesthetically, from the neck down, this figure is immaculate. It looks fantastic. Its paint and apps and everything look really, really good. But once you start working with it, you'll see why it pissed me off, because it'll probably piss you off too. One, the head on this thing, is the plastic on it is a different red from this, and it just looks like it doesn't go with the figure. Super glossy, the red doesn't match. I don't like the head sculpt at all on this figure. And two, the abdomen does not function at all. As you can tell, I can't even stand mine up straight because the double ball peg or whatever that is right through here and the ball peg down here do not line up. It doesn't function, can't crunch, can't lean back, can't twist, can't do anything. It's awful. And the legs can't move the hips out to the side. You can move them front and back and that's it, but mine catch and it cannot go out to the sides, and that's just not acceptable. And the ankles suck too, but I can blame that a little bit on the sculpt and the design of the figure, so I can overlook that. But the hips and the abdomen are awful, and that really let me down. Also, the accessories for this figure, it comes with 6 hands that don't do anything. It's got grabby hand, like, holding hands, for shit that it doesn't hold, and 2 open palm blast hands with no blast effect or anything. So it's pointless to even have all that. And that stupid comic book, but if you've watched any of my videos from this wave, you'll know that comic book gets on my nerves. But anyway, all that is why I don't really like this figure. All right, next up, we've got the Marvel Legends Gamerverse Spider-Man 2 Black Suit Peter Parker. This figure made the list for a couple of reasons. One, his diaphragm does not work at all. And he has no butterfly joints, so we have very crappy shoulder articulation and very crappy abdominal articulation on a figure that actually looks pretty cool. The second reason why he's on my shit list is because he's got the same ass accessories as the other 2 or 3 Spider-Man versions from this wave or whatever, and there's just nothing original about it. So if you're going to give me crap accessories, you better give me a decent figure, and they completely missed the mark on that one, and that is why he is on the list. Next on my A-team list here is the Marvel Legends Uncanny X-Men Savage Land Professor X. This fucking thing, I swear to God, if it was more expensive than $25 and it wasn't a Hasbro product, if it was like from somebody that can actually make a decent action figure, he would probably be number 1 on the list as far as how infuriated I was when I bought this thing. This freaking guy, look how gigantic he is. He's a gigantic muscle-bound, Captain, and see the freaking packaging pisses me off. He's like a Captain America-sized freaking Professor X. It comes with crappy accessories like 5 little hands that do nothing. This Cerebro helmet that is the biggest marbly gray plastic helmet thing you've ever seen. Comes right out of a McDonald's Happy Meal. And then let's look at this face. That looks like Gene Simmons with a bald head. That does not look like Professor X. And for all that reasons, other than the fact that it's just terrible and don't buy it, that's why he is on the list. And to round out the honorable mentions of the worst figures so far this year list is the Syndicate Collectibles The Howling Eddie Quist action figure. The main reason why this figure is on here, it's pretty overpriced. It was over $60. You don't really get any accessories. He's kind of hard to stand up. And for a higher priced, higher end kind of collectible like this, there's not as much paint on it as you would think. And for that reason, it kind of had to go on that list because it was quite a bit disappointing, to be honest with you. I hope NECA, because they're releasing a very similar figure later on this year, I hope that it comes out a little bit better in this one because no articulating jaw on either of the head sculpts, and like I said, just not very much paint and not very many accessories for the price point. All right, coming in at number 5 on my shit list. These are the ones that really kind of piss me off so far this year. And we're talking about the SH Figuarts Old Style Battle Clothes Vegeta. This figure is from Dragon Ball Z, the Namek Saga, and this is a premium Bandai figure. So after shipping and taxes and all that good stuff, we're talking about almost, if not an $80 action figure that was really nothing special, nothing new. The only thing great we got out of this was the head sculpt. The head sculpt and faceplates were fantastic. Beyond that, the accessories made it feel like it was a model kit. There ain't a lick of paint on this damn thing, and the articulation sucks. The articulation sucks on it. For the price point and for the lack of decent accessories, this thing is absolutely going on the most disappointing list so far. All right, coming in at number 4 is the Marvel Legends Maximum Series Hulk. Wait, Dad, didn't you have him as an honorable mention on your 10 best figures of the year? Yes, I did, but that was more from a subjective standpoint. None of his flaws are lost on me. I understand objectively there is a lot of things wrong with this figure. That's why I'm acknowledging it right here in this video. Although he does come with a nice spread of accessories and some reuse from figures that people clearly didn't have a problem with right up until we slapped the word maximum on it. There is a lot of reuse, or at least too much reuse, and some visual problems, especially around the gap in the waist right here. And he does have some balance issues, things like that. That is why he is number 4 on the list, and a price point of $60. That hurts the wallet, which makes everybody angry. So I understand it, and here we are. He is at number 4 on the most disappointing figures list so far. Coming in at number 3 is the Marvel Legends Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man, or Bully Maguire as I like to call him. This figure pisses me off the most of all the figures on this list. I absolutely detest this figure, but sadly, and from an objective standpoint, there are 2 other figures so far this year that come in a little worse than him. But there is one saving grace about this figure, and that is this Tobey Maguire head sculpt. It is really good. Other than that, there is nothing good about this figure. The paint apps suck. The aesthetic is terrible. Its articulation blows. Just the look of the figure is really crappy. Mine was missing a thumb on one of the fists. The webbing paint is awful. And I should probably point out that this little thing right here, this like Venom half off his head thing that you put on his shoulder, it looked pretty cool, but it wasn't from the fucking movie, so why did they have to add it? Because they knew they were putting a crap product out. But anyways, it's obvious that he should be on this list, maybe higher, but objectively there are a couple more that are even worse, and we'll get into those right now. Coming in at number 2 is the Marvel Legends Gamerverse Spider-Man 2 Venom. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for the things I'm getting ready to say about this figure, but I got to say them. This is probably the second worst, objectively second worst figure so far this year, at least the ones that I own, and let me tell you why. One, it is a little overpriced. I understand this is a giant figure that looks kind of cool from a distance. You do get a lot of plastic, but you don't get a lot of accessories. You definitely don't get a lot of paint. What paint you do get friggin' sucks. It's jacked up all over the figure, and you do not get any articulation that's worth a crap. And this is all new sculpt, and they fucked it up anyway. The entire abdomen is jacked. Doesn't crunch, it leans back, doesn't crunch, doesn't twist, doesn't do shit. It's terrible. The shoulders that have a butterfly joint, or at least what you would call one, does not frickin' work frontwards or backwards. That's unacceptable to me. The overall look is cool, and the accessories you do get are pretty decent, but you don't get enough. Not for a $60 plus shipping and handling figure. I'm not impressed. This is not that good. It was a big swing and a miss for Marvel, and I personally kind of like the figure. I think it looks cool, and I think that's probably what a lot of people are kind of clinging to. But this is objectively not a good release at all, particularly for $60+ Hasbro does not make a $60+ product. They just don't. Okay, and coming in at number 1, the blue ribbon loser so far this year is the SH Figuarts Wolverine from the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I can't really say enough bad things about this figure, and I'll tell you why. After shipping and handling, this thing was almost $90. God damn! That's unacceptable. It has the same frumpy freaking look that the Marvel Legends version of this figure had. It really doesn't have any more accessories than that thing had. It does not have as good a head sculpts. Its articulation is slightly better, and I really only mean that in the shoulders, because the hips aren't very good on this thing, and you don't really get much in the diaphragm area either. The only real good thing about this figure is the claw hands look pretty friggin' sweet, but beyond that, not much paint. The articulation is substandard in my opinion, and it's not accurate to the fucking movie because he never had the entire suit on with this cowl. But anyways, that's beyond the point. The problem is that Hasbro made a very comparable figure for a quarter of the price of this one, and I just don't understand it. For all those reasons, this figure is number 1, numero uno crappy. This thing is, like I said, almost $90. That is not acceptable. This is not a $90 product in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's borderline criminal how crappy this thing is for $90. Anyways, that is really all I've got for this, quote unquote top 10 list. I hate being so negative. I actually need to go take a shower. I don't like being negative about action figures, but these were the figures that have pissed me off the most so far. If you haven't subscribed, click the pause button, scroll down, subscribe, give us a like, comment, share, all that good crap. And with all that said, this has been Dad with Dad's Expensive Hobby. I'll talk to you all in the next video.